I've started this over more times than I can count. Every version feels close, but never close enough to what was intended. Like I'm circling something just out of reach, watching it slip away every time I try. So I change things. A word, a sentence, and then everything. And somewhere along the way, I don't recognize my own writing. It becomes something cleaner, something easier to look at, empty of me. Like it's been stripped of whatever made it real. I think the problem is, I don't know how to say things the way I feel them. Even my conversations don't last too long before something in me shuts down. Like a switch flicking off behind my eyes. Too many thoughts at once and none of them make sense. They disappear before they become anything. And writing was supposed to fix that. And maybe it does. In some ways. Even the things that I hate, at least they existed for a moment. They came from somewhere real, but then I buried them under correction. I decided they weren't worth keeping. Well, lately I've been watching these live streams and, people talking about themselves, their lives, their pain, their attempts to be better. And it feels safe. A place where things are said without being torn apart. And people actually care, because really we all struggle in some ways with some things. I stay in the background just reading along, scrolling through pieces of other people's honesty, laid out in ways I can understand, but I never quite mirror. Sometimes I speak just enough to feel present, just enough to pretend I'm part of it, but I'm not sure if that's connection or avoidance. If I'm reaching towards something or hiding behind it. Because it's easier, right? To hold someone else's weight instead of your own. Easier to make sense of their thoughts than to sit with yours in the dark. Or maybe it's worse than that. Maybe I'm measuring myself against them, using their pain to soften my own. I don't know. The worst part isn't that I struggle to say things, it's what happens if I don't. If I strip everything back and let it be exactly what it is, and it still feels wrong, what if I'm understood and it changes nothing? What if it lands exactly as intended, and it's still not enough? That's the part that stays with me. Not silence, not being seen. And reduced to something smaller than I meant. Something easier to dismiss. Because then there's nothing left to hide behind. And it's the quieter fear. The one that lingers. What if they laugh? You notice that shift in tone, that pause. Something subtle that settles in your chest and stays there. The kind of thing that surfaces to your mind when you try to sleep. Replays itself over and over. So I stay careful. I say enough to be heard, but never enough to be known. I've learned how to sound like I'm saying something without giving anything away. And the longer I do it, the harder it becomes to stop. Because honesty doesn't come in pieces. It's all or nothing. And if I give all of it, then whatever comes back is real. And I don't know if that version of me is something anyone would choose. I don't know if it's something worth staying for. Everyone else seems to move through this without thinking. Like they understand something I missed. How to exist in a way that fits. How to be someone people don't question. Someone people like to keep around, but I feel out of place. Close enough to see it clearly, but too far to belong to it. So I stay where it's quiet. Where things can be rewritten. Where I can shape and reshape until nothing feels dangerous anymore. Writing things I'll erase. Thinking things I'll never say. Trying to make it right. But before anyone ever has the chance to decide that it isn't. Even though some part of me already knows. That's not how this works.